Before we get started, it should be noted that I'm going to play some videos in the background. Hopefully it's balanced okay and you can still hear everyone talking over top of it. Just be aware. Okay, so welcome back to our live streams and YouTube streams for Good Shepherd Entertainment. Today I am here with Nyamakop, which you may know is releasing Semblance coming up next week. And I think we're going to start... we have Ben Myers and Sugar Kamani, but I think we're going to start with probably just the name in general, which most people know, but I like when you pronounce it. So can you tell everyone about Nyamakop and exactly where this comes from?
Nyamakop is a portmanteau word. Portmanteau. Combination of two African languages. So we've got Swahili for the Nyama part, which means meat. Yes. And then we've got Afrikaans from South Africa for kop, which means head. So the whole company name just means meathead. Meathead. Sounds very exotic, but it's also just...
I see. I think you love that part. That it sounds a certain way. It means something very different.
Yep.
Good. But Ben, you're from Sydney, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was born there. Sydney. Yeah, I was born there. I was only there for 6 months.
Okay, that doesn't count then.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask how you ended up in the Joburg, and seriously, is it called that? Because I read all about this. Joburg.
It's Johannesburg, and we call it Joburg. Mzansi.
Josie is another one that likes
Igoli, the city of gold.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Igoli, okay.
And we're going to start with some history for you guys and eventually get into the game for those who are anxious to hear more about that. But, you know, Ben, I need to know the important things. Like, did you wear a suit to be named Mail and Guardian's Top 200 to Watch? And what does that actually mean?
It's kind of just like a local large newspaper, Mail and Guardian, does. Every year, there are like 200 people to watch in South Africa from different like fields. And that was in 2015. And they had people like Trevor Noah on it way before he did on The Daily Show.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Me and Trev, we're close. That's why I took a chance on Sugar. He wasn't a Mail and Guardian then.
I see.
Okay. Sorry. Took a chance. I was like, I usually only work with other people on Mail and Guardian.
But Trevor Noah he was reserved.
Yeah, he was booked.
Daily Show.
Daily Show, yeah. We actually were going to make a game together, and the Daily Show came up and had to cancel. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like a prestige thing that this newspaper does locally. It's like the Forbes 30 under 30, but smaller.
Okay.
Much smaller.
It was your prequel.
Yeah. I met the mayor of Johannesburg at the time, though, and then he got elected out of office. So.
No relationship to that.
No. But Trevor Noah, though.
Trevor Noah. Didn't meet him, though.
Okay, well, you have a lot of hustle, very creative mind, marketing. How did you manage to kind of turn this into a dream that you're pursuing in school? You said, I'm charming, so I shall do this.
What, both of us?
You first, and then, you know, we'll get to the brains behind the operation. Sugar.
Okay. Well, I saw, we were trying to do our final year university projects, and I saw this enterprising young lad. He was like raw. He had a lot of potential. He was like a star being born. It was hot, it was intense. There was a lot of energy there. So I saw it, and he impressed me. He brought this prototype to school one day. He showed it, and he was like, "I want to make this game about this character-changing shit. I like this kid. I like where he's going. He has potential." So I begged him to let me do levels of the game. Yeah.
I see.
You went running with a few other level designers.
I know.
I see rumors that you met over a GIF. What is this about?
A GIF?
Yeah.
Well, the story, our origin story is kind of like the Joker's origin story. It changes every time we tell it.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant acid.
Oh, no. No, we didn't meet over it.
Good to know.
That'd be very weird. No, we met at university. You tell the story. How did we meet originally, Sugar?
How did we meet? I think the first time we met was at a local meetup. And Ben at the time, Man and God Top 200, was running these meetups. And I remember just being in the crowd and be like, man, one day, I I'll get to work with this guy because he knows, like, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
He didn't.
And then I jumped into university, and there he was as my classmate. So I was like, I'm close. I'm super close. I'm super close. And then I made the prototype, and like he said, you know, he asked to do some level design. I had a few other people like myself on the list for level design. And eventually, I was, you know what, I'm gonna
Take a chance.
I was not gonna take a chance, because I wanted to work with you. But so it was more like I needed to play hard to get, you know. So it's not like too obvious. So I know you put in the effort. And I was like, I gave him a little back and forth, and then eventually I was like, you know what, it's all right. You can jump on the project. And I guess the rest is history. The rest is history.
Awesome. Okay, so Sugar, first, people are going to ask, can you tell us about your non-sugar game and about your cubes? Not like that.
Oh, where my cubes at? Can I get a hey,
yeah. Your ladies.
Well, so I've worked, I mean, when I first started making video games, I was just going to every single game jam that I could. And I think I actually started a company like after my second game jam. I was like, that's it. I got one game jam now, and it's on Ludum Dare. And you know, Ludum Dare always gives you like really good comments. So I was like, I got these good comments. Let's start a company. We're gonna make this mobile game. But it turned out it was not a good idea. But I learned a lot, and then I went back to university where I met Ben. But at the time, I was working on this weird boxing game called Boxer.
Yeah,
and
I saw that at E3, right? You were showing us a version of that.
Yeah. We've been toying around with some new ideas, trying to bring it back to life. You know, the Switch looks like the perfect platform. And that game went on to win the inaugural Amaze Johannesburg Award. So that was the first time that I got a sweet taste of success.
Okay.
And after that, I was hooked. Traveled to Berlin, got to show people my game, you know, got to Cologne, Vienna, you know, casual places, nothing big.
Yeah.
I was waiting for E3 and Good Shepherd to really show where our strengths at. And it happened.
It was fate.
It was.
So I have to ask about the boxing. Is that a thing for you? Do you enjoy boxing? Is it a sport you follow? Like, why boxing? Just like Rocket Attack and Robots were in your mind forever.
So the way the game works is like, so you just use the analog sticks. So that's how it originally worked. You only use the analog sticks. And I remember being at work one day and playing around with the controller, and I was like, what if you made a game just with analog sticks? Because these things feel good, you know. So from then, I was like, what if we just controlled arms and you just kind of flung them around? So I started down that road, and it seemed to have been good, and it was received really well. And another thing with the game was that I just wanted to make a game, because before I was making a puzzle game, and no one knew how to play it, literally no one. And then, so I was like, I want to make a game that people can just pick up and start playing immediately and don't need some long tutorial. They can just jump in. So that's kind of how the game is. So I don't follow boxing apart from my boy Money Mayweather, you know. But I have no idea how even boxing works. I think maybe the game might be too fictionalized.
I think, yeah, there's points, right?
Is there points? No, there's no points.
If you land a box, if you don't knock them out, it's like points if you land a hit.
Oh yeah. So it's close.
We know a lot about boxing.
It's pretty much simulation. A fit simulation.
I hear all the boxing fans like getting up in arms right now, so we're just gonna move right on from that. Well, it sounds like you achieved part of your dream of being like Ben, because you guys have spoken a lot of different places, especially you, Sugar, but I think GDC might be one of the bigger ones. So what are your favorite presentations you've done from that? And Ben, it better not be about email. And tell us about influencing the young minds who are learning from you guys.
This is me to start.
You started.
I think getting to do, so the first time I went to GDC was also the first time I was doing a talk, and I got to be on the tech toolbox, and it was a 5-minute talk, and I remember working so hard on Train Jam to get these my presentation ready, and it was a lot of fun because I'm one of those people, I don't like reading slides especially, so I made sure all my slides were GIF, and I was explaining like complicated tech, especially the one for the way the player moves and shapes in Semblance. So that was a lot of fun. And I think even till today, like when we were in Bit Summit, someone came up to me and was like, "Hey man, I was there at GDC and I saw your talk. It was really cool, and I tried to do some of the stuff you're talking about." So it's really like rewarding to hear that people are like, "Oh no, the stuff you're working on, the stuff you're showing us is really helpful." Because sometimes when you're sitting alone in your bedroom, you're kind of like, "Man, I've only been doing this like a few months now. Like it's not anything special, you know." So when you get to talk about it at like the grand stage as GDC, you really start to understand like some of the stuff we're doing is pretty innovative.
Yeah, I think same for me. I think I have two talks that are my favorite. First one is at Amaze Berlin in like 2016, which is about African game design movements, and that was cool to talk about how, you know, Africa is not a country in the set, which people always mistake it for.
It's not a country?
It's not a country. It's actually a big collection of countries.
Okay.
Continent.
Yes.
I thought the region. No. Yeah, so I got to talk about different things different regions are doing with games and how that matters to them. So that's cool. But my favorite talk is probably about email at GDC, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. You can talk about it.
It was like an extremely boring topic that we somehow managed to make.
It was a bang. It was a bang. That's how you know it was good. That was in the front row.
Yeah.
Not by obligation. I have no obligation.
You actually started in the back row.
I did. I really I was so into this talk. They just came to me. They're like, "Please hand these out." I was like, "Yes." And I went around handing, and people were like, "No, we don't." I was like, "Take it, take it." Yeah.
Oh,
that's why we was always supporting each other.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, talks are great. You kind of have this imposter syndrome that you shouldn't be doing it. But sometimes you also have to realize some of the things you've gone through are interesting and they could benefit other people.
I just try and make jokes. Like my favorite style,
open with a joke.
Always
it's
open.
Always good for yourself because you're just ready to go.
Yeah. It's my favorite way to start talks is I always say, "Hi, my name is Shukya," and I put up the spelling for my name. And I know everyone's like, "Oh no, how do you pronounce this?" They're in their head, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "But if you can't, so this is how you spell it." And I have a GIF of a karate man, and it's just like, no, actually it starts the GIF with a crop, and it says shoe underneath it, and then the next slide is a GIF of like a karate man. It's like, "Yeah," so it's like shoe, "Yeah," and everyone gets super pumped. And eventually it's like, "You can call me Sugar."
My favorite.
They're probably disappointed then at that point because they wanted to say it just like you showed.
It's definitely, "You can call me Sugar," so keep it short and sweet. And people laugh at that. It's so bad. I was like, "Sugar, no one's gonna laugh." So if I have to, I'll just do a from the front row. I didn't have to. People would laugh. I was very surprised.
Well, I'm playing some Semblance because I know how super easy our pictures there. We'll have to watch our faces when we finish the game. So just so you know, I'm practicing a little bit before we talk. But we'll talk more about Semblance. I want to talk more about shows with you because you guys have been traveling a lot. I mean, I guess, Sugar, you were born in Kenya and then you traveled all over Africa, but now you're at E3, PAX East, Gamescom, South by Southwest, Mid Summit, everywhere. So tell us about like maybe some of your favorite memories you have of some of this year, the last 2 years of doing this.
I think one of my favorites was, this is when I flew into Copenhagen and I hadn't had a haircut yet. I was in a rush. And this is Copenhagen's, and it's a hard place to find people to cut this type of hair. So whenever I'd be in like a bus or in like a public area, I'd always be looking out for another brother. Like that was like, I was always trying to look down. I was like, "Who has a good haircut?" And then one day I was trying to go get a SIM card. I walked into this T-Mobile shop and I saw this guy has a fresh haircut. And I'm like, "Yo, bro, where'd you get your haircut?" And then he whips out a paper, writes down the name. He's like, "Just go here and ask for Jimmy." And I was like, "I'm not trying to buy drugs. I just want a haircut."
Very serious.
I left the shop. I still didn't get the SIM card, but I knew where to get my haircut. And to this day, it's one of the best places I've got a haircut. And the guy who was cutting my hair was from Tanzania, so he was another East African brother. You know? So it was like I went all the way overseas
to Copenhagen.
Copenhagen and got a haircut. by pretty much my neighbor.
Rift Valley brother.
Exactly.
Yeah, we traveled a lot. I think we did like 25 cities and 5 continents in like 18 months. And I think in June we did 4 continents in 4 weeks.
What? Yes.
So it's been a bit ridiculous.
But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has. I'm trying to think what my favorite one was. I think a big highlight for us is when we went to Stuga, which was this residency in the Swedish forests, like central to northern Sweden. We just hung out there for 2 months, and the sun was always up. I had to make curtains out of my jacket because the sun was always up and you couldn't sleep. It was just crazy. It was really cool that we hang out with people from like all over the world, like Mexico and Bosnia and
Brazil.
Yeah, that was really cool for like 2 months. I think one of my other favorite weird events was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We showed Semblance at PAX East in 2017. 2017. And this guy came up to us and said, "Oh, this game's really cool. You got my information." And he emails me and was like, "Hey, I'm running this event in Tulsa, Oklahoma called XBO Tulsa. You should come." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So then all the way to Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had these gigantic American flags, like so big, like huge. They're just massive, like just in the sky. And I was like, in America, I made it. And all the people he brought were like amazing. Like the ex-art director of League of Legends was there, the ex-design director of BioShock was there, and they were all just like making indie games now.
And then there was top 200 million Guardian over there.
Forbes Africa. Awesome. Okay, so let's start talking about Semblance, because you know, that's the topic of the day. So I hear that this game was made because Sugar didn't want to admit that a bug was unintentional. So can you elaborate on this, and you know, whatever version you'd like to tell?
So I think we were making a game that was about the character changing shape and size. And I was making, so everything was hard. So you could smash into the ground, you could kind of get smaller, you can smash into the side, you get taller, and things like that. And then we're trying to, obviously for design purposes, we're trying to make a soft surface. Ben's like, make a soft surface.
Just so it like feels good.
So it just feels good
in this world.
Yeah, so now every time you'd land it, it kind of do a little crevice like it does in Semblance right now. But then when you try to dash into it, you keep hitting it and it will just like keep molding. And then I was like, oh man, this is so funny. And I put it on Twitter and I'm like, oh, this is so funny. Ben slides into my DM, silky smooth, and he's like, Sugar, that's our mechanic. Make it happen. And I remember this was like towards like Christmas, and that's when I normally go back to Kenya. So I was in Kenya like during all my Christmas things with family with my laptop in hand, like on my lap, just always working, trying to make this feature possible. And that's kind of how the game started. And it was quite serendipitous. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. So, okay, you guys are men. It's an interesting aesthetic that you chose with kind of the soft colors and adorable characters. Maybe can you expound on like the art style and how you came to this particular style?
Yeah. Totally. I think there's a lot of different reasons we settled on that art style. I think one of the main ones is with the color palette. We just like really, when we were trying to figure out how to make games and make them commercially successful, we kind of noticed that a lot of successful indie games have very interesting and unique art styles. That's like kind of one of the things. It just gets them to a certain level of attention, sort of capturing your eye. So we really wanted to focus on that. We didn't really have artists at that point, I think. And so we were looking at Steam and going through all the games, and we were thinking like, what colors would really stand out? And we were like, what about pink? Like, no one's making a game that's pink. And so when we brought an artist on board, we were like, hey, we want to make a pink game because no one else is really doing that, and we think it would stand out when you looked in to see a screenshot. So that's kind of where the original color palette came from. And then I think in terms of the abstract, minimalist, cute style, when we started making the game, it was just 2 programmers pretty much. And so we didn't have any art ability, so we just had to try and make everything like really juicy and fun with programming, like hacks. Yeah. So that's how we made the character feel really juicy, as CG animated and rendered. And then when we actually brought artists on, we experimented with making more complex styles, but we kind of realized technically it'd be too tricky to like textures on certain things that were deforming and so on and so forth. And one of our references for the game anyway was the flawless jelly, which is quite minimalist as well. So we were like, let's just stick with a minimalist, cute art style. And so we did. It was kind of a weird combination of technical constraints combined with reference and just the color palette, pretty much. That's kind of how it happened. And we had a concept artist, Yi who did an amazing job, and she did kind of like a darker version of the palette. And then we brought on our production artist, Genre. He just made it like bright and colorful and beautiful, and magical.
He went from 0 to 100 in no time.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. That's how we describe it.
That sounds like the sound when you died.
Wow, that was the call. Yeah.
Sorry, no reference, but I was just wondering, like, did you do any of the sound effects or any of the things in it, like cute cat sounds?
No, we actually worked with a brilliant studio called Pressure Cooker Studios, and it was from Keith Kabayi. He's actually from Zimbabwe, so we like to think we have a Pan-African team. So he made all the sounds, and it was, and I loved how like the process of where he went to. I remember like some of the jumping sounds and landing of Squish is actually him punching meat.
Yeah. And also the critical sound of Squish is all him.
Yeah.
And he has a very deep voice. So he's obviously a very talented sound designer to make it sound so different.
Very cool. So how did you make Good Shepherd?
Wow.
Simultaneous wows.
I think we were like pitching to a lot of publishers for a long time. Some said no, some said yes. Someone said the art looked like it was from a student project. We can't even remember he said that. It was devastating.
Devastating.
And then we kept working on the game, we kept pitching. And then I think we were at E3 and Sugar introduced me to one of the Devolver people and said you should meet him and pitch him the game. And so I did. And then while we were in our meeting, the documentary crew filming Devolver Digital, like each day, they were releasing a YouTube video each day, came up to us. And Nigel said, just come here. And we kind of did this like fake pull-in kiss that ended up in the video. Then right after that, he was like, you know, we don't actually have much time on our hands, so let me put you in contact with our friends at the time, Gambitious, who later became Good Shepherd. I think that's how we ended up meeting, you fabulous folk.
Yep.
Right after a fake kiss, after my heart was broken. Yep.
I see. Excellent. Well, yeah, I think, no, this is really perfect for Good Shepherd, honestly. I think Devolver's like, what? Adorable cats? Get out. GTFO. Go over here.
Yeah.
We're the guys.
Yeah. No, it's innovative. You know, you've never seen this before. You call yourselves the first real platformer. It's kind of like our jam, is looking for things that are a little bit unique and different within a genre that's, you know, maybe done very often. So yeah, this was very unique. I think a lot of people have responded well. And I love how you do pitch it as the first real platformer.
Yeah. A lot of those pitching lines just come out of nowhere. We just like, you're talking to press all day and you like getting bored with the things you're saying. So you just start to like to entertain yourself, say increasingly ridiculous things.
There's a lot of people talking to you. You got to do something, you know?
I think it just came out of nowhere. I literally just one day said, look, I know what you're thinking. This is a platform. But what if I told you this was the first real platform? And then they all laugh. And then they play the game. So it works.
It does. I actually, like, it's so funny. Like, I talk to a lot of developers and they're like, oh man, I'm going to another show. I don't want to do this. But for me, first of all, most of the time it means like traveling. Yeah. So I'm excited. Forget the visa part, but I love traveling. And then when you're at the show, it's like you're just like constantly refining your pitch. Like by the end of the day, it's silky smooth, man. You can say it in your sleep. You can say it while you're drinking a coffee. You can just, and then you just kind of start playing with it, and that's how you come up with like interesting lines and pictures. So I always get excited about shows. It might get draining towards the end, but the end of it is like you're literally just telling people about this great thing that you've made, and they get to play it. Hopefully they like it, or else they did. But it's always such a great experience, and it like, even longevity wise, as a studio, as like a developer, it's always good to like learn how to pitch better to your game and like meet people. And at the end of the day, man, you're making the game for people, not yourself.
Yeah, wise.
Yeah. So for those who haven't played it before and who are watching the gameplay, why don't you give us, like, what's your favorite pitch? What is Semblance? Tell people what it is.
I think it is the most recent one, and it's okay. Go ahead. So, I want you to imagine a genre that has existed in video games for as long as you can, the platform. Like Super Mario did it, you know. They were like, what can we do with the mechanic? Let's jump. Amazing. And for some reason, they decided to call it the platformer. And so, we stumbled across this mechanic. You looked at me and were like, hold on. This genre, it's called a platformer. But the platforms, nothing ever happens.
Everything up until now has been a lie.
A lie, unfortunately. Everything else until now has just been running and jumping on platform. And so it's our responsibility to take this game and call it the first true platformer. Because linguistically, technically, it's the first game where you morph, shift, and change the platforms.
Exactly.
So it's the first game where platforming is actually the verb.
Exactly. I mean, like, if you're gonna call a shooter, they shoot it. So why in a platformer there's no platforming?
Exactly.
Until us.
Until we stumbled across this mechanic. Complete accident.
But that's how a lot of things. Penicillin came like that.
Exactly. So full level. Penicillin and Semblance.
Wow.
It's of innovation for our society. Yeah.
Semblance is the cure for the disease you did not know you have.
Yeah. Yep. There's a sickness in the genre, and we're here to cure it.
Damn!
Okay. You know, I started to show gameplay, and then I looked at Ben's face, and I just had to flip back to the cam. Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to gameplay. Yes. So this sort of thing has given you guys the 30 under 30 stuff. So what is this like? Now suddenly, you know, Ben, what a step up from the mayor and possibly Trevor Noah to Fourth Africa. 30 under 30. So yeah, are you ready to be the models that I know you want to be in your inner soul?
Sugar is going to be the first man at the cover of Forbes wearing a t-shirt. That's the goal.
That's my goal.
No collared shirt, no tie, t-shirt. Yeah.
But you gotta have a bit of that Wakanda.
Yeah.
No way is it
Yeah. One of the things I am going to share on social media this week is how delightful you guys are, and especially how much fun it is for the little things that you bring to the table. For instance, I've screenshotted and already highlighted, and it's slated to go this week, is that Nyamakop is in Wakanda adjacent, which is one of my favorite things on Twitter to see. We'll see that later. But yeah.
Ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely to see you guys together with some of our other devs, you know, certain ones, like from Black Future 88, and just the, you know, camaraderie of the industry itself is just awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that's kind of how we got into games. It's true. The community helping us and giving us advice, so I just want to give back.
It's always important. I think, especially when you're working on games, and especially as indie developers, you're always like in your own little silo, wherever you are in the world. You forget that there's a much greater community. So when you partner with great people like Good Shepherd, and you get to hang out with the devs, and they stuff you all in a nice Airbnb, you bond, and you get to just get different interactions from devs from Poland to devs from San Francisco, and it's such an interesting vibe, and you get to learn new things. Maybe collaborate.
Yeah, you force them to put references to your game into their game, you know, stuff like that. It's great. Just camaraderie.
I believe there is now an achievement in Black Future 88 having something to do with Squish.
I don't know if it's an achievement, but there's a power up called Squish 66.
Oh, okay.
us to dash down in Black Future, I think. It's quite funny.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We made it.
Made it.
So this brings us to Nintendo Switch. The game is the first African-developed IP to release on a Nintendo platform ever.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm personally working for the Guinness Book of World Records for you. But what do you think about this?
It's interesting. I don't know. It's pretty cool. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what more it is. It's just it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I mean, Nintendo's like 100-year-old company, you know. And then the way we got onto the platform was really cool. And for me, the greatest part about being on Nintendo Switch was that the first time we ever publicly showed it, we showed it in Kyoto, Japan, the birthplace of Nintendo. And on top of that, we won the Excellence in Game Design in the same city. So I think it's like almost poetic. It's almost poetic that we had to be there. We had to be on that platform. And I love working with the Switch. It's probably the most innovative console I've ever touched. In fact, when I was getting towards the end of Semblance dev and I was the one just fixing all the bugs, I would hate playing it on PC, but when I grabbed it on a Switch, put my headphones on, get cozy on the couch and start playing it, I was like, yeah, this is why we make games.
Yeah. I think also it's like no matter what happens, the company fails in 5 years' time terribly, bankrupt, no one will ever be able to take away at this moment. We were the first African developed IP on the Nintendo platform. Yeah. So at a personal level, it's really special to us. At a macro level as well, you know, it's just telling people all over Africa that they can make this happen.
Yep.
You can be in Africa and you can make games, and people internationally from South Korea to Poland to Brazil will play your game and enjoy it. And it doesn't mean just because you're in Africa you can't do that. So I think that's also an important reason why we push that so hard. Like we could have just not said anything, but I think it's also important to
highlight that.
Exactly.
Your uniqueness.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy Visor Cleanup Detail, and many people know Broforce. So you're kind of changing that scene for a little more publicity for South African developers. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the launch comes up. We're less than a week out now, July 24th. You have a really cool event going on Facebook for people that are going to see this probably on Monday, the week of. Kind of looking back on some of the things you've done and comparing some of the early development now. So if anyone wants to find that, can they just go to Nyamakop's Facebook page? You can go to Good Shepherds. We have it as well.
Yeah. We've got an event set up there. If you join the event, you'll see everything as it happens. Otherwise, you'll see it the following day on Twitter and Facebook as well. But if you want to get the edge, get the the hot scoop, you've got to join the event. We'll be sharing throwbacks, memes, fresh hype, and maybe some fan art.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, well, we're running the video in the background now for people to see the launch video, but tell us about the platforms and anything else you want people to know as far as where to keep track of you guys.
Yeah, so you can check out the game at semblance-game.com. We have a website, nyamakop.co.za, at Nyamakop on Twitter, Nyamakop on Facebook. The way you spell that is Nyamakop.
Yep.
You got it.
There you go.
And then you find our personal Twitter handles
In the bio.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, we wish you tons of luck. Everyone's going to be working really hard next week to get this out, and I think it's going to be beloved by people. That's the wish here.
We hope so.
Thank you.
Yes, awesome. Well, everyone will catch you later, and keep looking on our Twitter handle, Good Shepherd Ent, and here on Twitch and at Caffeine.